It's not that long ago that the man who could be on the cusp of challenging Jeremy Corbyn for the leadership of the Labour Party was barely known outside the world of political think tanks.
An iron Bevan is gone.
Owen Smith is now being hailed by his friends as Labour's great hope in the mould of his hero and fellow Welshman, Nye Bevan.
I would put Owen very much on the traditional soft left, as it's called, the Bevanite, the Tribunite left of the Labour Party, very much rooted actually in his own personal roots in South Wales. Not by any means on the right of the party, but someone who can see the other point of view and is able to ensure that there's a bridge between different parts of the Labour Party.
Smith has moved to distance himself from Tony Blair by calling for Clause 4 of the Labour Party constitution to be rewritten once again to contain an explicit commitment to tackle inequality.
Some of the things that particularly excited me are his bold plans for the economy, why now is the time that we need to be investing in our future, not cutting back, that traditionalist sort of economic intervention approach, an active state if you like, and he's articulated that really powerfully and really passionately in a way I think that we can win the next election on that platform.
Critics in the Labour Party mutter that Owen Smith started his political career as an advisor to a cabinet minister who was one of Tony Blair's greatest admirers. But his former boss points out that Smith was no fan of the most damaging legacy of the Blair era, the Iraq War.
On issues like the Iraq War, for example, he was with me in 2003 when I was the Northern Ireland Secretary and member of the Cabinet, of course. He disagreed with the decision to go into the Iraq War and stuck to that position.
Owen Smith knows he has a challenge to show he is a clean skin, untainted by Labour's period in office. Friends say that he was one of the first senior figures to clock the defining feature of today's troubled party, the disconnect between grassroots members and the elite. His loss in a by-election in the rock-solid Labour seat of Blaenau Gwent a decade ago taught him about failure and the importance of never neglecting natural supporters. Friends say Smith's experience in that by-election has informed his approach to politics ever since. As soon as he arrived in Parliament in 2010, he said Labour had to move on from the Blair-Brown era. Campaigning in the Scottish independence referendum, he predicted the collapse in support for Labour with the words, "This feels like Blaenau Gwent." His former boss says Smith has an instinctive feel for Labour as the son of one of its great Welsh historians.
The Act of 1536...
I knew Di Smith, his father, before I knew Owen, because Di Smith is a doyen of Welsh Labour history, and he was friends with people like Kim Howells and Howell Francis. And it was only after Owen decided he'd work for the BBC in Wales that I got to know him.
With a reputation as something of a cerebral figure, Owen Smith is working hard to show he is a man of the people. But he ran into trouble today when he put his family to the fore, inviting comparisons with his rival Angela Eagle, who is in a civil partnership.
I'm glad you think I'm normal. I am normal. I grew up in a normal household. I've got a wife and 3 children. My wife's a primary school teacher.
Owen Smith is a determined political fighter, but he can sometimes appear a little unworldly. During his time as a BBC radio producer, he was once asked to get a police response to an unfolding crime story. Smith telephoned 999, prompting an official complaint from the Met. He may need to be a little more savvy if he's to wrest control of the Labour Party.